This is not a regular library. On the surface, it might just look like a big room full of books, which, you know, it kind of is, but it's so much more. Complete with entire villages, complex farms, whatever the heck this thing is, even real books written by you guys. It's clear that there is more to this than meets the eye. In this video, I create a living and breathing entity, highlighting not just the story of this Minecraft world, but that of multiple worlds, spanning over more than a decade. It's a return to Minecraft's oldest memories. A journey of over 100,000 blocks, and a story of one man trying to figure out what the heck he is doing. It's also my basement, so like, yeah, I need something to go down here. You see, for the last 5 months, I have exiled myself on the outskirts of this Minecraft world. And I told myself that I cannot return home until I finish this base. Now, I've already built this massive thing. I really could have stopped here. Probably should have, to be honest. But alas, my basement looks like this. Yeah, I've got some work to do. And just like that, the area is mostly prepped. Except for this box, which currently houses all of my villagers. So this'll be fun. Thank you guys for your service, but you are no longer of use to me. I'm kidding, don't worry. I built a landing pad, they're fine. And considering that these poor guys have spent their entire life cooped up inside of boxes, I think it's time that we change that. I'm just kidding, yeah, they're in a box again. You have my word, though, that by the end of the video, they will have a proper home. Maybe. Now, the last thing to do is move this beacon, and it looks like the center is right here. There we go. And now I just need to rebuild it a little bit lower. Man, look how much space there is down here. Oh, I just did a flip. That was cool. And before we can actually begin building, we need to first gather some materials, starting in the nether. Okay, yep, that is a ghast. Now, ironically, in the 5 months that I've been out here, I have yet to find a single warped forest biome, which is exactly why I need to find a warped forest biome. So this should be fun. There we go. That didn't take too long, actually. And on the way home, I will grab some bone blocks because honestly, I can always use the bone meal. You see, the main items that I'm after right now are the warped hyphae and the planks. And to get those easily, I can actually just come over here to the tree farm I built a few episodes ago, replace the crimson nylium with warped nylium, bone meal the fungus, and then start collecting. Now I'll just need some blackstone, some basalt, and a bit of moss before heading back to the nether for some soul soil, which will be turned into soul torches and then soul lanterns. And now we can start building. I'm scared. I don't know what I'm doing. But what I do know is that I want the build to have a central staircase leading to the upper levels. So I guess we'll start with the outside pieces like so, adding in some stairs in between, making sure to leave this middle section open. And then I will just kind of continue layer by layer until we connect these into one staircase at the top. And there we go. It's actually looking pretty good. Now, eventually it's going to continue its way up along each side. But before I do that, I want to extend a platform here going into this wall. Now, I'm already starting to realize that this build is going to be rather complex. So to stay on track, I'm going to break this up into a series of unique phases, starting with phase 1, which I'm calling automation. You see, I want this library to serve as more than purely an aesthetic art piece, and to do that, I'll need some things working in the background, which is exactly why I'm digging out this massive room going into the side of this wall. I also never say no to building a secret layer. It's arguably my favorite thing to do in this entire game. Now, the most important thing any secret layer needs is a cool entrance, which is why I'm currently fixing my bee farm to actually give me honey blocks. Okay, that should do the trick, I think. Maybe. I'll also need 30 slime blocks, and since I only have 3 right now, I'm really hoping this cave will have some for me to kill. Alright, no luck here, which means I have to resort to plan B. And now we just wait for nighttime. I have to admit, it's not the safest thing I've ever done, but I gotta say, this is a pretty good way of getting quick slime balls. And after about 10 minutes, I have all the slime I'm going to need. And after crafting some more redstone components and gathering a bit of obsidian, the good news is that all all I need now are the honey blocks. The bad news is that the bee farm isn't producing any honey blocks. So yeah, I guess this is what happens when I do things on my own. Okay, so if we just remove these, that will allow us to access the slope of the secant line.
And using that derivative, we can determine the rate of change of honey from these silly little bees.
Which just so happens to be directly proportional to the rate of change at which the universe is rapidly expanding. And then we just factor in the bees' relative velocity, which happens to be very close to the speed of light. Meaning they're aging much slower than you or I, and by the time one day passes in Bee-land, all of us will be nothing more than piles of dust and ashes.
All right, yeah, I think the bee farm works now. So yeah, it's safe to say that I won't be using my own design for this redstone door. Instead, I'll be building one from our Lord and Savior, Mumbo. You know, just to ensure I don't make any more mistakes. Okay, yep, I already messed it up, so I gotta tear the whole thing down and try again. Okay, yep, that's not right either. Alrighty, third time's the charm. Let's wire this up, and yes, it actually works. Oh my god. That was mildly annoying, but now it's just a matter of filling in the sidewalls. Yep, I broke it again. Oh, this has been a nightmare, dude. Okay, so this time I'll use glazed terracotta, since slime and honey don't stick to it as far as I know. Ah, yes, it still doesn't work. So the door finally opens and closes without any real hiccups, which means now it's time to install the pressure plate system to trigger it, as well as a cool archway. Boom, science. As you all know, the fundamental rule of all secret layers is that they must look cool. So before I get working on anything functional, I want to get a good aesthetic built in here. Now, I'll be honest, I'm completely winging this, but I think first it would look really cool if we install an alternating pattern with spruce and dark oak wood before going through and stripping all of them. Oh yeah, that looks so nice. And after installing the pressure plates on the other side and praying that they work. God, dude, oh my goodness. I'll go through and build a nice little archway on the inside as well. Now for the ceiling, I'll use some dark oak slabs, some polished blackstone, and finally some more black stained terracotta for a bit of color. It's definitely giving more evil layer than secret layer, so you know what? Evil layer it is. I'm cool with that, honestly. Now over here along this back wall, I want to get started with the first farm, which is going to be a very simple villager breeder. And just to be safe, I'm going to take 2 of my current villagers, use them to make 2 new babies, and then use those children to power the farm. That does not sound good the more you listen to it. Anyways, while I build up the breeder, which was designed by Logical Geek Boy, by the way, let me take some time to explain why I need this in the first place. You see, 5 months ago, when I made the journey out here, the first thing I did was absolutely decimate this village for all of its resources, leaving the villagers cooped up inside of this box. And even though I've since vowed to give them a proper home one day, they just keep getting moved from one box to another box. I think this is the 4th box, or is it the 5th? I'm not really sure. And that's where this breeder comes in. You see, the plan is not only to give these guys a proper home, but to create an entire civilization, an empire, a life of freedom, all within the walls of this underground library. Except for you two. Yeah, you guys gotta stay here and give me babies. Sorry. Yes, a baby. Go on, my friend. You are the future. Okay, so I have a way to get tons of villagers, but now I need a way to get a bunch of bookshelves because after all, this is a library, which is exactly why the next item on the list is a wheat farm. I can explain. You see, with enough wheat, I can breed inhumane amounts of cows, slaughter them for their leather, and use that leather to make bookshelves. But since I don't really want to continually harvest my beautiful wheat fields, and let's face it, I'm lazy, I'm instead going to make a fully automatic wheat farm down here. I'm out of slime again, and it still looks like this cave is not showing any promise, so I guess I have to head back out to the swamp. But this time, I will be smart about it. Whew, okay, I got 10 pieces. And I guess I will build a portal right here on this floating island, and there we go. Also, can I just take a moment to look at these 2 jungle biomes? They have got to be the smallest biomes that I have ever seen in Minecraft. What even is this? Now I just have to wait for nighttime. Now that all the materials are collected, it's time to prep the farm area. Now, the actual size of the wheat fields doesn't really matter, so the plan is to dig out a big room and then have 2 layers to increase efficiency. Also, my beacon doesn't reach over here, and instead of just moving it like a normal person, I am flying out here, getting haze 2, and then digging for 10 seconds until it runs out, and then I repeat the whole process. Why am I like this? Okay, that's the first layer done. Now onto layer number 2. There's really not much to say at this point. I'm basically just planting in giant wheat fields right now. I'm also starting to wonder, like, am I wasting my time on this? I mean, I've already spent 2 hours gathering materials and digging out these rooms when I could have just spent that time getting wheat. Also, I still need seeds to plant the fields in, so either way, I'm doomed to harvest those fields. Oh well, moving on. Now, I've intentionally left these back sections open because this, oh boy, this is where the magic will happen. It's also the part where my brain stops working, which is exactly why I'm following this tutorial from One Last Lemon. And while I can't tell you how this thing works, bro, what is this? I am excited to announce that it is finally moving day for the villagers. Take the seeds and go to your new home. Thank you. And now I'll just need some allays, which is why I'm traveling thousands of blocks in search of a pillager outpost. Finally. Oh my god, that took way too long. Hey guys, how you doing? 'Tis but a scratch. I'm really hoping that getting you guys home won't be too difficult. First thing I'll try is to fly with you. Okay, yep, flying doesn't seem to be working. Unfortunately, walking doesn't seem to be going too well either. All right, well, we will do it the hard way. And once we get you guys home and safely put away inside of a box, we can just play your favorite song, so you'll multiply, and then move you into the farm. And it doesn't work. Cool. I'll be honest, I really don't know why the farm's not working, but what I do know is it's 99% sure my fault, and after spending the rest of that afternoon messing around with it, it's finally at a state where I can say it's kind of working. With things finally going on in the background, I think it's time we begin phase 2, which involves building up the actual library. The first thing I want to do is extend this staircase up to what will eventually be the upper level, and I'll go ahead and use a pretty similar block palette to what I used initially for this. Okay, there's one side done. Now to mirror it on this side. Now I just want to outline some of the upper floor, add in some basalt for detail, and also add a railing with these warped trap doors. And before I get too carried away, I think we can add some moss on either side here with more dark oak, which will let us have these gardens on either side of the lair entrance. Sorry, sir, but you can't see this yet. So far, the front section is actually looking pretty good. However, the plan is to have this upper circle go all the way around. So the first thing I'll do is just outline what I think the rough shape should be with dirt. Now, it's important that I take some time to get this right and make sure it's not just like completely flat and boring. All right, that's the first half done, which I think looks pretty good. Now let's just build up the other half. And there we go, the entire outline is complete. Now we can go through and build this in a series of steps, starting with the spruce around the outside, adding in the basalt, which I have to do this weird flying maneuver to place. Yeah, didn't think that one through. After that, I can go through adding in our railing, filling in the floor, and there we go, the upper floor is installed. Also, quick wheat farm check, it's actually kind of working, so that's cool. However, it's not working that great. So I'm gonna tear down this other half and replace it with a cactus farm since I will need a lot of green dye for this build. The idea I'm having is to build a series of archways up here to house the bookshelves, and then we can go through and texture in some moss, green terracotta, and mangrove wood, which from a distance makes it look all old and overgrown, which I kind of like. And about 1 hour later, all of the archways are in. Now it's just time to add in the bookshelves, which will go in the gaps here. So, PETA, if you're watching, now might be a good time to click away. Sorry for killing your parents. My bad. And after gathering the resources to make more bookshelves, I am officially 25% complete with the upper section. This is where I realized the mistake that I've made. You see, going into this, for some reason, I thought that wheat would be the bottleneck in making all of these bookshelves. You know, hence why I built that entire wheat farm. But it turns out getting enough cows for leather and sugarcane for paper is the true problem here. Because yeah, all of these guys are still babies. So here's the plan. I will turn this area above the cactus farm into another sugarcane farm, which will take care of the paper. But as far as the cows go, I really can't do anything but wait for them to grow up. And while I was waiting, I suddenly remembered that librarian villagers can have a bookshelf trade. Hang on a second. Am I being dumb again? Yep, I'm being dumb. I really don't know how I've been playing Minecraft for over a decade and I just remembered that. But what I do know is that this villager breeder has been working overtime. Now, I think if I put some water here, that should push them to the front and allow the minecart to pick them up. And then we just send them to their temporary holding cell. It's box number 6. I think that 6 of these guys should be good. No, dude. Oh man, that just hurts. And it's pretty simple. We just put a lectern down, and if they sell bookshelves, we buy it. If not, we break it and try again. Now, the real secret here will be to find a zombie. Aha, here we go. Oh, I think he's stuck. Hang on, let me help. Come this way, buddy. I've got some people I'd like for you to meet. Okay, scratch that. There's only 5 villagers. Now that they've turned, it's just a matter of throwing a weakness potion, giving them golden apples, and waiting for them to convert back into villagers. And after repeating that process a few times, we have bookshelf trades for 1 emerald apiece, my friends. And bam, the upper section of the library is officially done. And I wish that I could say it's coming along nicely, but I still have to build the entire lower section. And while in the past I've done a lot of building without any planning whatsoever, this is not what that video is about. So I've taken the liberty and done a bit of designing in my creative world, and I've made a list of every material I will need to finish this part of the build. So yeah, let's get collecting. So to start things off, I need some smooth stone. So first I'll go ahead and chuck a bunch of this stone into my super smelter. And while that's going, I'll collect some stripped dark oak wood. Now, I don't know why I've just realized, but it's way faster to strip it while chopping it down initially. I feel like I'm a bit of a noob for that, but anyways, moving on. Now, if you thought bookshelves were annoying to get before, I will need about 3 times the amount for this next part. So yeah, that's fun. I'll also need blackstone, moss, chiseled bookshelves, and a bunch more clay for terracotta. Man, I am really doing a number on these rivers, you guys. Now I'll fortune up a bunch of this copper, toss that into the smelter, craft that into cut copper, and space it out around here to start aging. Ooh, how riveting. But not as riveting as me collecting mud the manual way like a peasant. Oh, that's lovely. I forgot. I already got a bunch of that earlier in the episode. Woo! So I'm realizing now that copper takes way longer to age than I first realized. So I think what I'll do is head out here and And I actually saw this trick where apparently if you build a mangrove box for yourself, hi there, once you emerge, all of your copper should be aged. That was a dumb bit, I'm sorry. Moving along, I now want to head out in search of a coral reef because I think that it would look super cool to use some of that in a central pond area. Okay, hang on, this is not a coral reef, but I'm gonna want to come back here. Oh, and would you look at that? A coral reef is basically right next to it. And after collecting up a bit of dirt to craft into coarse dirt and grabbing the rest of this copper, it's finally time to begin building. So the first thing I think we need is a pillar to support this upper balcony. Yeah, I think that'll work. And the idea here is that in each of these little pockets, I'm calling this a pocket, we can put a different color wool. And think of these like different genres of books that you'd find in your library. And then using blackstone, we can kind of build an archway like so and fill in the rest with bookshelves. And I gotta say, I am really loving how this is coming together. What I'm not loving, however, is this floor. It's really ugly. So to start things off, I'll outline the pathways with mossy stone brick slabs. And as far as the pathways themselves, I'm thinking that just smooth stone would look really good. I don't really want these paths to be anything that draws your eyes away from the bright and vibrant library. But for the middle section here, just completely forget what I just said because I want to turn this into a fancy pond. Oh, and would you look at that? There's literally a bunch of water right below here. Yeah, this should make filling in this bad boy a breeze. Now, eventually I'll figure out the shape, but for now I want to go in with a layer of oxidized copper since this is touching water after all, followed by a layer of jack-o'-lanterns, even more copper, and polished basalt. Sorry pal, but pool's closed. Now we'll just cover the floor with some dirt before filling in the rest of the water. Also, I guess the water that was already in here was not helpful because now I'm having a heck of a time making all of these water source blocks. Like, I swear normally these would just all fill in on their own, but they're not for some reason, and it's driving me crazy. My sanity aside, now we need a staircase to be able to walk in and out of the pool. Correction, we need 3 staircases apparently. And finally, it's time to address this middle section. So So I'm thinking we dig a hole right here, put some water in, and then have it flow into the pool, almost like it's supplying the entire area with its water, which is cool, but you know what would be even cooler is adding in a bunch more detail. So I'll go through now with some trapdoors to cover the jack-o'-lanterns, a bit of soul soil, mud, and coarse dirt on the floor, some sea pickles for lighting, a few pieces of coral for that color, and lastly some kelp because I wanted to. And it's looking really good, but while I was building this, I had an idea that I just can't get out of my head, and it involves heading all the way back out here to the Mushroom Island. Well, actually below it, because I think the pond needs some axolotls. Okay, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 should be good. Also, can we just take a moment to look at how big this lava lake is? Like, what is this, dude? And I shall name you guys Paolo, Abraham, Rosa, Ollie, and Harold. So at this point, the main library build is nearly done, except these gardens in the back are still completely empty. So I think on the lower section here, I'll just add in some torch flowers. You can't really go wrong with these bad boys. Now, as for these back sections though, I'm thinking a custom cherry tree on either side will tie the area together perfectly, before finally adding in a back trim with some composters and mangrove leaves, as well as some bamboo. And with that, I think we can finally say that the main library build is complete. More importantly, that means we can finally start working on phase 3 of this project, which involves giving these villagers a proper home. Oh my god, I did not realize how many of you were here. Okay, yep, that's it. You guys are cut off. No more babies for you. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is install some fences around the villagers to keep them safe, because they're going to actually require more space than the library currently provides. And to get more space, I think I'm going to start digging into this wall actually. Now you'll notice that I'm filling in the walls here with chiseled bookshelves instead of regular ones, and there's actually a reason for that. Apart from looking cool, chiseled bookshelves can hold individual books. More specifically, these book and quills, which you can write whatever you want in. And that's where you guys come in. You see, apart from this being a massive project, it's also a very special one to me, because this is episode 25 in this hardcore series. And lately I've been feeling quite nostalgic and just kind of reflective on this world and everything we've accomplished over the last 2 years. Not even just in game, but like in life, I guess. You see, creating Minecraft videos has been a dream of mine ever since I knew that it was a thing you could do. And this hardcore world has allowed me to do not only that, but somehow turn it into my career. Because for any of this to happen, that means my videos, or my builds, my hilarious jokes, definitely not that one, something had to resonate with all of you. So instead of just sitting here thinking about my favorite memories from this journey, I asked you guys to share some of yours. So these chiseled bookshelves will allow me to quite literally fill this library with real memories and real stories from all of you. In fact, my end goal is to fill this entire thing with comments from you guys. But let's start small. After all, my villagers are still homeless. And the first set of villagers to move are these librarians. Now, I know what you're thinking. A holding cell isn't really any more humane than a box. It's actually less humane. And to that I say, yeah, you're right. But I really needed somewhere for these guys to go, so I'm sorry. And I've been reading all of your comments about your favorite builds from the series so far, and I think it would be really awesome to use this library as a place to recreate some of those old memories, just with a new twist. And one of the most commented builds by far was our old underground base, which was called the Undergrove. Now, the basic premise of the base was that it was a series of underground tree roots connecting through various tunnels. So I think we'll just go ahead and start digging out a massive area through this doorway and recreate a version of that base over here. Now, this should be a pretty straightforward process as long as I don't run into any water caves. Oh, why can't anything be easy for me? Oh, hey, what's up, Alays? I guess I'm freeing you guys, so have a good life. And now that the water is finally gone, I can start clearing out a big tunnel through here, making sure to keep the villagers safe for the time being. And for now, I'll give myself a flat area to work with, and then I'll go through outlining what I think I want the rough shape to be. And believe me when I say this room is going to be very large. So I'll continue digging on the opposite side of the villagers over here and wrap it all the way around. Next up, I'll go through and carve out the shape of the ceiling just a little bit, and I guess the villagers are free now. Also, they're are under attack. How fun. See, this is what happens when you run away from home. So I'll just put you back in your box for now. Already, there's so much room for activity in here, but we're not even close to being finished. And before I keep digging, I want to start getting a block palette in. Now, initially I used oak logs, but I think just adding a slight twist with dark oak here instead would work pretty good. And my favorite thing about this base is just how darn easy it is to build. I literally just spam dark oak logs all over the place and then go through dotting in random pieces of dark oak planks and moss all around until you're left with this, which honestly looks okay right now, but will look way better the more that we keep building with it. And I'm glad I didn't make the floor any lower because I can barely reach the ceiling as is. And I'm also realizing just how much dark oak this is going to require. Like stupid amounts of dark oak, okay? But as we continue expanding the blocks from the ceiling along to the walls, you can really see how the effect is beginning to take shape. And the last thing this needs is some leaves scattered throughout, which really brings the whole thing together and adds that tree vibe. I feel like I'm back home already. This is so cool, you guys. But what's not cool is just how much digging I still have to do, because this is just the ceiling area. It's going to be way bigger in here. There's something just so peaceful about insta-mining for long periods of time. I swear it just puts me in this like relaxed state. I feel like my brain is always going a million miles an hour, so just hearing the stone break, it just kind of calms things down. And then I can just chill and put on some music or a podcast and honestly just vibe. So I've been working on the area here for a few hours and it's coming along nicely, but I think a staircase here at the entrance would make sense. And it doesn't need to be anything really all too fancy, just kind of a way to get me up and down out of here. There we go, that should do. Now we can go ahead and continue our expansion, this time adding in a little bit of a slope so it's not completely flat and boring. Oh yeah, dude, that is so much better. It does mean, however, that it's time to fill in the floor, so it's back to placing in a bunch more dark oak wood. There we go, you guys, and just like that, the undergrove is officially rebuilt. And now that we have this space cleared out, we can go through and mark off areas to build more of your guys' favorite things. And for the next one, we have to go way back, all the way to the very first episode of the series where I transformed the spawn village. Now, luckily, the block palette is really simple for this. For starters, I'll just need some spruce wood. After that, I'll need some snow, which I can conveniently find right on these mountaintops. Hold up, did that horse just get yeeted off the mountain by the goat? Why would you do that? Anyways, after gathering more bits and bobs, I think we're good to begin building. The first house will go right here. Now, I remember building these initially and having a super hard time getting them right, but now they just kind of come together pretty easily. I guess that's what happens when you build for 2.5 years straight. All right, there's one house, house number 2, number 3, and number 4. This one looks pretty bad because it's on a diagonal, but that's okay, I guess. And then we can just go through and connect everything together with these deep slate pathways, add in some mossy rocks for more detail, and even give each house a super simple interior. And there we go. I just built a pretty nice looking village in like 20 minutes. There were also a bunch of comments referencing many of the farms that I've built in the series, and while I'm not going to be building any more of them in this video, I do have a pretty cool idea to revamp one of the farms I built a long time ago. And it's going to go right here. You see, way up on the surface, I have this iron farm that I built, and it's just kind of always running in the background, but I never really get to see it because it's outside of the village wall. So I was thinking we could dig a massive tunnel, reroute all of the golems that spawn all the way down into our base. That way we can at least see the farm in action. And yeah, I was not kidding when I said that this would be a massive tunnel. And I believe like right here should line up with the killing chamber I built. Yeah, it does. Cool. Excuse me, sir, if you don't mind, I'll just, yeah. The last thing this needs is some water streams. And after having a bit of trouble getting the golems to round the corners, I think we're pretty much good. Okay, yep, he's mad. And he is fast. I'm out of here. Now, once we install the lava, the iron farm is officially rerouted. Bro, this is so much cooler than what it was before. I also feel kind of bad watching him burn right in front of me. Oh well. But I might as well get used to this feeling because what I'm about to build is way worse. Honestly, it's kind of twisted. So firstly, it's going to require me to dig out a rather large area. Right about here should be good. Now, in terms of the decoration, I'll just blend it in to meet the similar aesthetic that we've been using. And I'll also add some dripstone to the ceiling because why not? Now, I'm aware this is probably bad karma, but the idea I'm having is to build what I'm calling a mob merry-go-round torture device. Basically, it's an endless endless chamber for hostile mobs to be stuck in. And once the water is in, I pretty much just have to install the elevator and this thing is ready for use. Now, as if torturing a bunch of creepers and zombies wasn't bad enough, now I'm going through adding in these little pods, and what I can do is route a super long highway from them up to the villager breeder. Oh, you guys are gonna like this. And then boom, we have spectators. Look, I hate creepers as much as the next guy, but even this feels a little bit messed up. Oh well, I've already committed. And speaking of creepers, now let's try and find some hostile mobs for this thing. I will call you Hash Brown. No, don't blow up, don't blow up. And if we're careful, we should be able to lead you right here into the torture chamber. Okay, I guess he'd rather be dead than inside of this contraption. Honestly, don't blame him. We have cheeseburger, McNuggets, hot fudge sundae, McDouble, strawberry banana smoothie, McChicken, Oreo McFlurry, who keeps trying to shoot me. Please stop. Double quarter pounder with cheese, Big Mac, Filet-O-Fish, please stop shooting me again. And lastly, sorry, our ice cream machine is broken. Now, it looks like the skeleton's actually drowned. Cowards. But as for the rest of you, welcome to the fun zone. Now, because we name tagged them, they shouldn't despawn, meaning they'll basically be stuck in this loop, well, forever. I will add a safety fence, though, just in case. Not for myself, though, but for these guys. Yeah, that's right, you guys. It's time that we address this eyesore that is my villager holding cell, and finally let these guys move into the village that we built just a little bit ago. And after building them a little staircase up and down, I'll just grab their workstations and move them inside of these houses. And then they should just kind of pathfind their way into the village on their own. Except for this guy, he's being dumb. Dude, I have waited so long to remove this ugly box. This feels amazing. And it's definitely freed up some more space in here, which is good because there's still 2 more things I want to try and recreate throughout this area. And this one is actually a combination of multiple things. It's also, unfortunately, the biggest one yet. So here I am, yet again, digging out a massive room. And I will turn this one into a circle. So what I'm thinking is I want to turn this area into a sort of fishing village with a large pond in the middle. And this is one of my personal favorite builds because it relates back to that one time I spent 13 hours straight on a live stream fishing until I caught a mending book. Now there's really no logical reason to do this unless you're green, and definitely no way it should have been fun. But honestly, just chilling out and chatting with you guys while fishing is something I'll always remember from this journey. Now in terms of the build, I want to add a ring of spruce around the outside, which will kind of act as a dock, and then that's going to surround the body of water here in the middle. Now this is where things start to intertwine, because apart from this being a fishing village, it's also going to have a witch hut emerging from the middle of the water. Oh yeah, dude, that looks so good. And while I was back in the swamp killing slimes way earlier in the video, I couldn't help but notice a stray black cat running around, and I think that you would be a perfect fit back at the base. And even though I really hate to do this, I'm gonna name you Dennis because so many of you mentioned him as your favorite memory from this world. Now, the last time I did this, he pretty much ruined my life, so fingers crossed that doesn't happen again. And finally, I can go through placing in a bunch of barrels, connecting up another rail line all the way to the villager breeder, and then moving a metric ton of these fellas into the fishing village. Oh look, a Congo line. Hold up, how many of you are stuck in this one block? Hello? And there we go, the fishing village is complete. And that just means there's one final build to recreate. This portion of the video is brought to you by my chickens. Yeah, I just wanted to remind you guys that for every book I put in the library, I have to slaughter one of these guys. So hopefully you don't mind. And speaking of you guys, I took some time that night going through all of your comments and adding every single one of them to the build. If you see a heart, that means that you're in the library. Now you might notice that this area is very large, and that's because we are going to build an entire cyberpunk city down here. Now obviously it's going to be nowhere near as large as the previous one I built. That one took 5 months alone and was very painful. But considering this was by far the most commented thing from you guys, it felt illegal to leave it out. And while the previous builds can mostly be just thrown together with a few simple materials, that is not the case for this build, because each of these stone outlines will be made entirely out of different blocks and colors. Bro, what? Why are there so many of you here? Like, huh? Now you're probably wondering, Brock, those are some pretty weird blocks that you're using there. How did you think to come up with them? Well, it's pretty simple. I didn't. You see, this Cyberpunk build style works really well when you use a lot of gradients, which is basically where one block transitions to another block to add some shading and texture. Now, if you're good with colors and have some time to kill, you could definitely experiment on your own and find good block palettes for this. But if you're anything like me and can't tell the difference between yellow and orange half the time, seriously, why is it so difficult? You can just use this website called Hue Blocks. All you do is decide what block you want to start with and then what block you want to end with, and it generates all of the blocks in between. And obviously, I spent a lot of time adding in window trims, doorways, and basic interiors, but I just want to show you that getting a strong block palette is arguably half the battle. And once we fill in this back wall and connect the buildings up with pathways, the mini Cyberpunk city is actually done. I forgot how tedious this build style can be. It just requires so many different blocks, dude. The other thing it requires is villagers, because yeah, there are still a stupid amount of these guys left to put in houses. So to start things off, I'll just fill in these buildings with as many workstations that will possibly fit before going through and absolutely cramming these guys in like sardines. And would you look at that, I just happen to have the perfect amount of villagers. Not a single one left over that I needed to kill or anything. No, definitely not. So far in this video, I've made an evil heir, built an entire library, and recreated your guys' favorite builds from the series so far, which means it's finally time to move on to phase 4 of this massive project. You see, not only do I want this library to capture memories from this world, but I kind of want it to serve as a time capsule and capture the feeling of old Minecraft. You see, recently I've stumbled onto various Minecraft channels from creators playing in beta versions of Minecraft. These videos focus on a more simple, stripped-back version of the game, and watching these videos has had me reminiscing on my own early Minecraft experiences. So for phase 4, I'm going to lean into these feelings and try and build something that fully captures those early days of the game. And to do this, I'm going to have to do more than build just a crappy little box out of oak planks, although that might work, to be fair. In fact, to do this, I'm going way back. On May 9th, 2012, just 6 months after the official release of Minecraft 1.0 on PC, Minecraft Xbox 360 Edition hit the market. And this allowed so many kids who didn't have a computer, including myself, to finally experience what Minecraft was all about. And while this version of Minecraft was literally years behind the actual game in terms of features, it did come with one thing that separated it from its PC counterpart. And that was this tutorial world, which I just so happened to find a download for in 2024. Oh man, this is going to be really weird, you guys. I haven't seen this place in over a decade, which is honestly crazy to think about. And for so many people, like myself included, this world was the first time we got to experience Minecraft. Now, the game was a lot different back then. For starters, the audio was super weird, as you can hear. Like your footsteps just sound like you're walking on eggshells the whole time. There's no sprinting. No hunger bar, and boats apparently just break when you try and get out of them. Also, skins weren't around yet because, hello, I'm Steve, apparently. Anyways, so you spawn here in this courtyard, and you're pretty much instantly find this half-constructed wooden box, which I guess you're intended to finish building yourself. And then if you keep following this gravel pathway, you come up to this weird archway entrance thing, which I think might be Minecraft's first liminal space. And once you get through that, you're met with one of the earliest renditions of a village. Now, it's actually kind of funny because despite only having like 5 blocks in the entire game, the houses look pretty much just as good as they do now, which is kind of sad actually. Now, the interiors are all really basic. I mean, there's basically just a bed inside, it seems. And there's also this well in the middle, which, is there anything below here actually? No, it doesn't look like it. Ooh, this is quite a fancy house we have over here. I remember always trying to build my houses to look like this one back in the day. I actually think that the modern villages could use a house like this. But as neat as this place is, you might have noticed that there's no villagers. And that's because at this point in development, they weren't even in the game yet, as far as I know. Don't quote me on that. But something about this just makes the whole place feel eerily quiet, and you feel very alone, I guess. And I remember as a kid being very scared while playing Minecraft, and I guess I just thought that feeling went away because I grew up or whatever. But here I am as a 27-year-old dude, and I am still absolutely terrified right now. Now, I think when you take damage, this super weird noise is made, and then the main way to heal is just by eating pork chops, which don't even stack in your inventory. Hang on, I better sleep. Okay, that was not necessary. Moving along, next up is this minecart track going into the hillside. And if you take a ride along it, you go all the way here to this castle entrance. Hang on, how do I get out of this thing? Now, I remember looking at this castle in 2012, like it was Grian's Hermitcraft 7 base. So it has this archway out front, and the inside is like this super bare bones and open courtyard. And what's down here? Oh, that's right, it leads to this dock area that connects up to the ocean below. That's so cool. And then we have these spiraling staircases that take you up to the towers, as well as this big open room, which I guess is supposed to be some sort of a church. Dude, the torch spam in here is real. Now back here in the middle area, one of the other things I love to do was pillar up to this big Minecraft sign, because once you get up here, you can pretty much see the whole world to know if you missed anything. Like over there, there's another village, it seems, and there's also a tower way out in the distance, and what looks like a desert as well. Hang on a second, do beds break your fall? Nope, they don't. Also, I think I just discovered a duplication glitch. That is so weird, dude. But yeah, I just remember spending countless hours exploring and living in this world. I know that when I was younger, the building side of Minecraft was always super daunting to me. So the fact that I could just load up in here and there were already some pre-built structures just added so much to the experience for me. And while walking around here, I've been kind of just taking in the scenery and collecting some screenshots of things I want to try and rebuild, which means it's time we return back to the hardcore world and get working. So right through here is where I want to begin our expansions. And there's nothing more fitting I can think to put here than that liminal archway from the tutorial world. Now I've taken exact screenshots, so as far as I know, these two inside rooms are 100% accurate, but something doesn't quite feel right. There we go, that's better. In case you missed it, I just swapped to the old textures, which are basically Minecraft, but old. And since I'm underground right now, I'm gonna start digging out a staircase into what will eventually be called Beta Boulevard. Clever, I know, I came up with it myself. Now the block palette should be very easy. After all, we only had 3 of them back in the day. Digging out this giant room, however, might take a bit. Hang on, I gotta get efficiency 5 put on this fortune pickaxe. There we go. And the reason I'm using that pickaxe is to get all of this cobble, because it's actually going to make up the walls of this entire room. Look, I'm going for accuracy, not aesthetics here, and this is totally something that 15-year-old Brock would have done. Something else that 15-year-old Brock would have done is have his entire base have a grass floor, which is actually impressive because back in the day, I definitely didn't have Silk Touch. Now, the first structure will go right here, and this one is going to be a sort of animal barn, I suppose. Now, I know it's not the most visually aesthetic thing you've ever laid your eyes on. Far from it, actually. But this was as good as it gets back in the day. What's not good is the fact that it has no animals in it, but I think we can fix that. I'll grab a cow, a pig, and a sheep, push them into this hole. Whoa, that's kind of wild. And there we go. You all get to hang out here forever. Sorry. There we go. A second house is in. Nothing special here. House number 3, though. Look at this bad boy. Really moving up in the world. Did I say up? I meant down. Because through this well is where the magic well happened. I'm so sorry. I just said that. I remember as a kid being totally obsessed with secret passageways or hidden rooms. Basically anything that let me feel completely invisible. Kind of dark when I put it that way. But in Minecraft, I took any chance I could to bring this to life. So down here at the bottom of the well, I think I'll just dig out a little tunnel, and at the end of said tunnel, I'll use the oldest trick in the book with a painting, which by today's standards isn't the most secure entrance by any means, but in 2012, you could use this to guard your most prized possessions. And that's exactly what I'm going to do, because in this room will be my bedroom. Now, I also recall using a ton of leaves as building blocks back in the day, which it's no wonder I would go on to make an entire mega base that's based off of a tree, now that I think about it. What can I say? I'm a simple man. A simple man who loves his diamonds, because through here is the most high security, top secret vault you've ever seen. Now, there wasn't really much to do with diamonds back in the day, so I would always have one of these rooms attached to my bedroom. I could use more diamonds though. This is a bit embarrassing. There we go. That's better. But the last thing this needs is a guardian, you know, just in case this ever gets broken into. All right, little guy, come with me. I will sit you right here upon your diamond throne, and most importantly, I'll name you Bud after my childhood dog. I miss you, buddy. Hope you're doing all right wherever you are. And now that we're all crying over our childhood pets, let's add a cool factor to this base. And while I think we can agree that minecarts are a pretty boring part of Minecraft today, before the addition of elytra, or even sprinting for that matter, they were actually a pretty awesome way to get around. So to make this place a bit more fun, I'm gonna dig out a custom track starting from the bedroom that works its way all the way through the village and back up into the liminal entrance area. Now we just add in the rails, power these bad boys up, and boom, we are ready to take a ride through Beta Boulevard. With the first 4 phases complete, we are just left with one final objective. Now, before I tell you what that is, it's important to get a bit more context about how we got here. On June 4th, 2023, I uploaded a video called 10 Hours to Save My World from Deletion. In this video, I set a challenge for myself to get every advancement in this world in 10 hours, with the caveat that I delete the world if I fail. Now, at the time of this video, I was completely burned out with this hardcore series, and to be honest, I made that challenge for myself almost hoping that I would fail. But against all odds, when I got that last advancement with only a single minute left, I was left feeling totally confused. And while I couldn't delete the world now, I did the second closest thing to that by traveling 100,000 blocks from home, destroying all my stuff, and putting on this stupid Curse of Binding leather armor. In a lot of ways, doing all this was really stupid, but I didn't care. I was honestly pretty bitter towards Minecraft at the time. But being so far from home with no resources and really questionable armor, I was forced to kind of take things slow and have a fresh start. Slowly but surely, I started building. Firstly, by transforming this village, and eventually making this monstrosity completely from scratch without any planning at all. In a way, I was just kind of forced to refine my love for Minecraft while I was out here. So for phase 5, it's time that we come full circle and finish this story once and for all. I'm heading home, and I'm doing it by foot. Oh, I might regret this. Okay, so if I'm going to actually do this, I think I need some ground rules. So I guess firstly, I'll say no elytra. I mean, that kind of removes the whole point of this being a hard challenge. So how can I get around? Well, I'll keep it vague and just say that I must travel either by foot, boats, or other means. But we'll get to those ones later, hopefully. And it looks like right over here, we are approaching a village. Hang on, how many of these do you guys think I'm gonna find along the way home? I'm gonna guess 34, but that number might be way off, dude. I have no idea. And speaking of numbers, I've been doing some very precise, and by that I mean extremely not precise calculations. And I found that if I sprint the entire 113,000 blocks home, I should make it home in just under 6 hours. Bro, that is crazy. I can literally drive to the airport and fly almost anywhere in the US before that. Why did I just jump in that cave? Anyways, considering I'm already like 5,000 blocks into this journey, I should probably tell you why I'm doing it this way. Yeah, I don't really know. I guess the closest thing I can compare to is like a road trip. I mean, there's just so much of this Minecraft world that I've never seen, and this is probably the only chance I'll get to see half of this terrain. And already I'm getting sidetracked searching these caves. I want to try and find a saddle, which will open up a few more transportation options. I got nothing but a bunch of skeletons that want to kill me. All right, well, I tried. I really wanted to get a saddle, but I guess it's just not in the cards for right now. Back on the journey we go. We got a long ways to go. I'm gonna just like put on a podcast and just keep walking, I guess. As of right now, we are officially in the 99,000s, meaning we are only 5 digits away from home, which still feels very far away because it is very far away. Also, this dude's just big chilling on top of his perch. Oh my god, not one, but 2 saddles were in this village. Everyone, meet Rupert. And with this device, Rupert can take us home. We're gonna do it. We're gonna go the whole way home on this pig. I will take the saddle though. However, I do need that. We can finally get a camel. What's up, buddy? I shall name you Tommy. Sorry, Thomas. No time for rest, my friend. We must go. We have adventures to be on. We have places to be. Update. Me and Tommy are climbing a mountain, it seems. We're 2 mountain boys, mountain men, just trying to get a good view. Look at this view, Thomas. Look at what we did. We did this together. No, Tommy, be careful. Be careful. Okay, Tommy, listen, man. It's been fun. It's been real. I'll catch you sometime later. Can we get some F's in the chat for Tommy? He's not cut out for this life. So I have good news and I have bad news. The good news is that I have traveled 25,000 blocks in just the last couple hours since I started this journey back home. The bad news is that I am out of food. I don't know why I forgot about bringing food. That was not my smartest plan. Like, I really don't know what to do now. I mean, it's not like I'm gonna settle down and build a house or anything. Actually, that's a pretty good idea. I should do that. I would say you guys are probably surprised, but then again, I don't think I could do anything that would surprise you at this point. Also, this is Perry. Everyone say, hi, Perry. I mean, this is ridiculous. This is inhumane. I feel kind of bad. I made way too many sheep. Also, did I spend the entire afternoon yesterday making this entire base and breeding up all of these sheep just for a little bit of food? Yes, I did, in fact. just killed Perry. Oh no. Oh, that's so tragic, bro. Day 2 was another long one, so I'll go ahead and just cover some of the highlights. For starters, I found a bunch more villages.
Oh,
look,
a
a village. I also found a pink sheep, which I killed, and this mangrove swamp on top of a mountain. Honestly, I didn't even know that was possible. I also found these 2 random mineshaft chests just chilling out in the open. Not sure what that's about, but I will never complain about free golden apples. I went ice skating, found some cool floating islands with a sheep on top of them, came across this insane mountain range, and overall just had a blast seeing what wonders this world had to offer. I flew through the 70,000s, the 60,000s, and the 50,000s, meaning I was officially halfway home. And I really thought this would have been a more exciting milestone, but ironically, it was the darkest one yet. I guess it just made me feel further from home than ever, since I was kind of caught in the middle between 2 different bases. So I put my head down and kept on moving through the 40,000s, onto the 30,000s, and eventually into the 20,000s, when I made quite the discovery. We are officially 24,000 blocks from home, which might not mean anything to you, but it does mean that we are officially in the outermost stronghold ring. There could be a stronghold below my feet. Okay, I gotta run. Hang on. And it's the first time that I can say that in over half a year, which is honestly wild. This was such a huge motivator for me. I know it might sound crazy, but I was starting to question whether I would ever make it home. I know in theory that everything is still safe and sound right where I left it, but when you've just spent the last 2 full days running in a straight line and finding absolutely nothing but the occasional village, your mind kind of starts to play tricks on you. But this was just the reminder I needed that there was in fact an end in sight, and I was making it home today. So it's day 3 of this journey, and I don't really have time for an intro. I'm just gonna keep running. I think what I'll do is update you guys every 1,000 blocks or something. 15,000, 14,000, 13,000, 12,000, 11,000. Before long, I was less than 10,000 blocks from home, meaning our journey was more than 90% finished, and I was starting to become flooded with so many memories from this world. I was about to be reunited with so many builds, countless farms, and amazing stories for the first time in over half a year. Before long, I hit the 5,000 block mark, then the 4,000 block mark, and the 3,000 block mark. And just as I was crossing into the 2,000 block milestone, I was met with quite a welcome sight. I don't know when I've been here, but I've been here because this portal did not make itself. I did that too. What is this? Wait a second. I know where I am. This is where I killed all 5 animals with 1 crossbow shot. Like, I know that logically in a few hundred blocks, I'm gonna stumble onto builds that I've made over 2 years ago. Like, they're gonna still be there, but when you've been traveling for 113,000 blocks straight and finding nothing that is of any familiarity, you kind of start to doubt yourself. Like, am I really in the same Minecraft world that I once began? But it is true. Oh my goodness. We have made it home. Look at all of this, you guys. The tree, the castle, the village, my slime farm that doesn't work anymore. I took some time that afternoon just roaming through the world and visiting all of the old build sites. And as nice as it feels to be back home seeing all of my builds, something just doesn't feel quite right. Oh, yep. There goes the helmet. There goes the boots. There goes the pants. And there goes the chest plate. I am once again naked, and honestly, I'm not mad about it. Thank you all so much for 25 amazing episodes of Hardcore Minecraft. Now I just gotta figure out how to get back to that library.